Hey guys, Ben here and welcome back to another video. Today we have a huge video for you guys. We got some Superman behind the scenes photos that give us our first proper good look at David Corenswet's Superman on the set, but also we get some really good looks at the rest of the Daily Planet crew, including Lois Lane, as well as a massive hero from DC Comics. So if you do go on to enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment and subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos later this year. Okay, so first things first, we're going to be breaking down what's been released over the last day or so. Now, I wasn't able to do a video yesterday because I was packing up because I was traveling in the morning, and so I'm finally getting around to it now. So hopefully you guys are going to stick around with me because there was new photos that were released today that we need to break down in this video as well. We'll start with that and then we'll go on to the Superman stuff from the day before. But I want to apologize straight away that I can't show many photos in this video due to copyright. I will leave the link in the description below to most of the photos that I reference, and I know a lot of you guys have seen these, so I don't think it's that much of a big difference. But basically I really can't show it on YouTube, otherwise there is the threat of my channel being taken down by the paparazzi, because you have to pay for these photos and they are very expensive, and that's why you see like big websites buy them. So I just wanted to give an explanation as to why you'll see less of these photos, but you can definitely see them online. And as I said, I'll leave all the links to those photos I reference in the description below. So for now, let's go ahead and get into this. So today we got a really good look at David Corenswet on the set as Clark Kent. This is new photos, so this isn't from yesterday, this is from today. And so we got to break this down first because that's the newest bit, and then we'll get into Superman, we'll get into Lois, and we'll get into all the stuff that was released yesterday. But yeah, Clark Kent, we got a good look at David Corenswet filming a scene in downtown Metropolis outside the Daily Planet, where they are filming in Cleveland in America right now. And so they shot this classic Clark Kent scene and I love it. It's a great little video that was released online. Again, link will be in the description below so you can watch that. That will be the top link. But in the video you see Clark Kent rushing through a massive crowd to get to work, presumably. And I love that the way David does it. It's really polite, it's really kind, it's kind of that classic Clark Kent kind of move where he's always so nice and yet he's trying to barge through because he's late, and you know, he's not flying, but we all know he can fly. And so I just really liked it because you get to see a glimpse into what David Corenswet is going to be playing Clark as. He has been directed by James Gunn to play him in this way, and this is a very classic Clark Kent kind of way. So I do feel overall he's probably going to be the closest version of Superman and the version of Clark Kent that is closest to the actual comic books, because James Gunn is so obsessed with the comics. But we need to talk about Clark Kent's look. So David looks completely different with some sort of like curly hair, kind of perm. It looks interesting. I wonder if he's actually wearing a wig or not, or if they've just styled his hair on the day and that's just what they're gonna do for Clark Kent. But I think it's an interesting way to make him look different from Superman, because as we've seen with Superman, and you can see on the screen here, he is very much so, you know, styled in a normal way. Like, it's as you would expect Superman. You know, he has that silky kind of quiff, and you know, he has some curls in his hair, but that's pretty much it. And the Clark Kent look is completely different. It's scruffy, it's kind of normal, it's nothing special, but it's completely different and it's unexpected. And I quite like that it's quite unbelievable in reality that, you know, he's going to be switching between these hairstyles all of a sudden, between being Clark and between being Superman. So I really like that James Gunn is going bold with this, with the differences. He is trying to emphasize that he lives two lives basically. And so let's move on to talk about the Superman set photos, because we're going to talk about the suit straight away. I'll give my thoughts. So it's extremely vibrant, that's for sure, the Superman suit that we see in the photos. Lots of people have been questioning online, is this a different suit? And I think the answer is actually quite simple. I think it is a different suit. I think it's very similar in terms of design. I'm not saying that the design is completely different. Like, maybe there could be a few differences from the start of the film and the end of the film Obviously, we don't know if this is shot in the present day, or is this supposed to be like a year back and this is like his original costume, and then his costume changes and it becomes more battered and grimy over the, say, next year. I mean, we don't know all of the details to do with that, but there is always the potential that they could dampen the colors down in post. And yeah, it's probably not super likely, only because they've gone for these bold colors. I think it's more likely that James wants a comic book accurate suit. He wants it to be bold. He wants it to be a proper homage to the comics, and I rate that. I like that, and I wonder what tone he's going to be striking. Obviously, you can kind of get the gist with the Clark Kent scene. It's going to be quite light at points, but then it could get darker. If you look at the poster they released a while ago, it looks quite different, because in that official look, his suit looked scruffy, it was dirty, it looked textured. And this suit that obviously we've seen in the last couple of days just looks very vibrant, it looks very colourful, it looks very comic booky with the red trunks, with the big yellow belt, and also we've got the House of L symbol on the cape. It's actually quite remarkably different from the Superman suits that we've got recently. Like, Superman Lois is more along the lines of Man of Steel. It's more textured, it's kind of more of a sleek suit compared to more of a comic booky suit. It's something that looks practical and doesn't really have anything too crazy on it. Like, I think he's definitely going a bit over the top with this suit. That's just my personal opinion. Obviously, you guys can disagree with me. But one thing's for sure, from the set photos, you can tell this is a less worn-in suit. This isn't a battle-worn suit. This is at least somewhat new. Maybe he's used it a couple of times to save some cats from a tree, or save a couple of people just like Superman does, and he will get it battered and dirty at a later point throughout this film. Again, this could be midway through the film, it could be towards the end of the film, but I'm going to take a guess it's some way midway through the film, just based on all the action that's happening. So let's go through and describe what was actually shot during this day, because there was a big action scene in downtown Metropolis. It was filmed in Cleveland. As I said, some of you guys who live in the area actually sent me some photos, so really appreciate that. Obviously, that was just a few days before. If any of you get any photos of David as Superman, please be sure to send them in to me at the DC TV show on Twitter and Instagram. I'll be checking just in case any of you guys can send any really cool photos that you take yourselves. And so, as I said, I don't know what point in the episode this is, and I don't know who is the main villain causing all this mayhem, because it is sheer mayhem. Like, this was a huge scene that they were filming. They had so many extras. They had loads of army personnel there. They had the whole Daily Planet staff, which were all present at this moment in time. We need to talk about that, because there is many specific characters who are huge in the comics that make a appearance in these photos. But also Eve Tessmacher is there too, so you can guess Lex has something to do with that. And also Nicholas Hoult was seen on set. He wasn't in his costume, so I don't know how much he specifically shot here. But we also get our first proper look at Lois Lane, and let me tell you, she looks amazing. Rachel Brosnahan looks like Lois Lane from the comics. She wears the iconic purple sweater or purple jumper, and in a couple of photos that have been released online that you can check out, Superman and Lois are seen together, and they look like such an amazing duo. They look really great, and despite me thinking this is maybe a bit too bright on the Superman costume, I have a few gripes, but I believe in what they're doing, and I believe that it suits the tone of what they're going for, so I'm just gonna have to accept it. And I'm not, criticizing it majorly, but I'm actually super excited by everything that we're seeing. So let's chat about the Daily Planet staff that alongside Superman, alongside Lois, Eve Tessmacher, Lex Luthor. So some of those staff members include Wendell Pierce, who is playing Perry White in it, and he is such a good actor. I loved him on Suits, playing Meghan Markle's dad in that, and I think he looks like the perfect Perry White. Like, he has that attitude, he can do that, and you've seen that with Suits, so I really can just envision what he's going to be like as Perry White. I don't know how big of a role he's going to have, but they've actually made it a big deal to cast like some well-known faces to play these certain characters. There is also first looks at like Jimmy Olsen, but also there is a young Cat Grant who is a reporter at the Daily Planet, and then there are other characters who are going to be a major part of the Daily Planet coming out of a spaceship. Now, what is this spaceship? Let's break this down. So in the last couple of days, people in Cleveland spotted Mr. Terrific's T-shaped spaceship, and so all of them are coming out of the spaceship, and it seems he has got a lot of tech and he's going to be heavily relied on it for that. And there's clearly a story reason for why they're all there. They're there for their protection, so Mr. Terrific and Superman has sped them out of maybe outside the Daily Planet or with inside, because there is this huge battle going on outside, and so they've been able to halt the threat and it's safe for them to land. And so that's where you get all the photos of all the Daily Planet staff members walking out, and it's just super exciting seeing all these characters. But joining Superman is Mr. Terrific himself. I'm very excited for what Mr. Terrific has to offer in this film, because from the photos and from the way that he's been described, it looks like he's going to be a very important character in this film, and they look like a great duo side by side in the photos that have been released online. And so there are a bunch of lovely shots of them standing side by side in their costumes. The Mr. Terrific costume is extremely comic book accurate. I think it looks great in real life, and what we're seeing in the photos, I think actually I slightly prefer it than the Superman costume, just because I guess it's what I'm expecting, and maybe with Superman I'm kind of swayed by Superman Lois and Man of Steel and that kind of modernized Superman suit. But I do love David's suit, I have to emphasize that, but I'm looking forward to it getting a bit tattered and stuff like that, because I was impressed with that official photo, if I'm being completely honest with you guys. And so with Mr. Terrific and Superman standing side by side, you can imagine in this film they're going to be doing a lot of stuff together. And even though right now we don't know who the enemy is, you can presume Lex had something to do with it, but the destruction is huge, and that's not really a Lex Luthor thing to do. However, Eve is at the scene, Lex is at the scene, so maybe you can just theorize, okay, it's probably them. But in the official photo that they released a while ago of David Corenswet in the Superman suit, there was some sort of like a colorful laser beam in the background, and it kind of reminded people of Brainiac, and so people were wondering, is Brainiac going to be in the film? Could it be him and his spaceship that is causing all this destruction in the city? Because it's clearly not just Lex in a Lexo suit doing this, because all the military has shown up, and I doubt that they would really all mobilize, especially when Superman probably would have a handle on Lex in a Lexo suit. That's just my presumption. Obviously it could be him, and maybe he is extremely powerful in this film and can stand up to Superman. But let me know down in the comments below, who do you think is the true villain of the scene? And so it seems there is going to be a whole lot more photos in the next couple of days, but I'm just really loving everything that we're seeing. I think Clark and Lois look like a great duo side by side, with Rachel Brosnahan playing Lois and David Corenswet playing Superman. There's been some insanely good photos released online. Probably my favorite photo so far is either them side by side in their costumes, or it's going to be the Superman with Mr. Terrific photo with them side by side, where you see David Corenswet as Superman and he's got the House of L symbol on the back, which I do like. I think it's a cool addition. But to round off this video, I think most of the scenes that they were filming yesterday was mainly centered around Superman and the big action scene, plus also Mr. Terrific. I think that was the main focus. You saw in some photos, you know, the actual camera, and you can kind of get a glimpse at one of the shots, so that's kind of your first look. But then skipping forward to earlier today, they took back to the streets of Cleveland to film the stuff with David as Clark Kent, and the video that was released online is the perfect example of what Clark Kent should be, and that is just basing him purely off the comics. And I think, as I've emphasized throughout this entire video, James Gunn loves comic books, and he is doing this for a reason. So don't expect him to go in post-production and like dull everything down. It's not going to be, you know, a dark Zack Snyder film. It's not like that. that had a very specific tone, and this is going to have a specific tone. We all know what James Gunn likes when it comes to superhero films. I mean, he is the director of the Guardians of the Galaxy films after all. You know, they're all about their humor, they're about, you know, lightheartedness. Yes, there are some deeper themes to it, but overall it's nothing too dark. And yeah, James is interested in horror. He's been connected to projects like Brightburn before and some of his earlier projects, but I think when it comes to the DCU and Superman, he wants to portray Superman in a good light, in a lighter light, in a kind of classic Superman style light. And I think I can say this because just looking at the costume, this is pretty evident to me, and I think most of you guys will agree with me. So that pretty much does it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment. It would really help this video get out there. Also subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos. But for now, click on the top right corner of the screen to watch my latest video, and I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.